Help! How do I get into Massachusetts family court quickly? If you're starting a divorce or custody action and you need to get into court to get an order fast, what do? We're going to answer that in this video. Hi, I'm Heather O'Connor from O'Connor Family Law. Please like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a video and helpful tips on how to help you get through your Massachusetts family law issue. If you're heading into a divorce, or even if you've already started the process, we have a free divorce basics ebook on our website that I put a lot of time and effort into writing. So it's not one of those one-page documents meant to just capture your info. I think it's actually really helpful and gives a good overview. So feel free to go to our website and download the ebook under the resources tab. Back to our question of how to get into Massachusetts family court quickly. Now, I did mention the state of Massachusetts, so this video is focused on that state since it's where we practice. If you're watching this and you're from a different state, you should definitely look up the rules and laws in your state because they could vary significantly from what we do here. Even in Massachusetts, from courthouse to courthouse, the procedure and correct titles of the different motions can vary slightly. So please don't take anything I ever say in any of these videos as legal advice because it's not based on specific facts. It's just a general overview for educational purposes. If your emergency issue is a safety issue, then you may also qualify for a protective order. However, we're not focusing on that for this video. We're looking at the situations like one person moved out of the house and the mortgage isn't getting paid. The fact one parent has been completely cut off from the kids. If there's an emergent issue involving the health and safety of your children, those are the things we're talking about in this video. Prior to COVID, you could usually count on being able to get into court within about a month's time once you filed a motion. COVID created a horrible backlog in the court system that they're still trying to catch up on. And now, it's not unusual to have a motion date scheduled for 2 to 4 months out from the date you file it. That obviously isn't going to work if you're dealing with one of the situations we just went over. There is a way to cut the line, so to speak. However, it causes higher legal fees because there's quite a bit of extra work involved. But let's walk through the general process. Remember, this can change a bit from court to court. You need to get your underlying motion filed and reserve the date for the future. Then you need to file what's referred to as a motion for short order of notice or a motion for a speedy hearing. This is the motion that will ask the court to get your motion put on the court calendar sooner. To file this, you need to have the new motion drafted as well as an affidavit that lays out the issues in your case, that they're serious enough that if you don't skip the line, harm could happen that just can't be reversed. You can usually go into court for a same-day hearing when filing this type of request. Your first barrier is getting past the registry though. They usually do an overview based on what they understand the judge will typically consider to be emergent issues and what they won't. If the registry does not believe it's an emergent issue, then sometimes they will reject the filing. We have had this situation happen before where we've almost had to argue the case directly to the registrar before we're even able to get to the judge. And sometimes in cases where I think the emergent situation was obvious and urgent, we've still had to go through that. Now, there must be an affidavit filed with this motion as well. So don't forget that, or they won't allow the motion to be filed at all. Once it's approved by the registry, they will usually send you up to the courtroom. You'll need to wait until the judge calls your case. Sometimes this happens really quickly, but in other cases, we've had to sit there all day as the court will usually take the cases that are scheduled for that day before these types of cases are heard. Again, this can quickly cause the expense associated with getting something done on an emergency basis to grow very quickly. The judge will finally call your case. You'll go up, introduce yourself, and get sworn in. Sometimes the judge will simply read the pleadings, which is what we call the documents that are submitted to the court. Other times, the judge will ask your attorney to explain the situation, what you're looking for, and why you should get a sooner date. Assuming the judge agrees with you, sooner dates will be provided at that court hearing. Now, before you even go through this whole thing, assuming opposing counsel for your ex is reasonable, you should definitely discuss this with them. And that's for 2 reasons. First, If opposing counsel assents to the motion, meaning they sign their name in agreement of getting a sooner date, sometimes the court will allow that type of motion administratively without requiring you to actually go into court and incur all those additional expenses. Again, not always, but sometimes. So if you can keep costs down and avoid having to appear in court, I think it's always worth a shot. Second, when the court assigns you a sooner date, the last thing you want is to have incurred all the extra expense, you're happy you got a new date, but then you inform opposing counsel about the new date and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm already booked on that day, so we need to continue it." The court will almost always continue a matter if one of the attorneys is unable to attend it due to a scheduling conflict. It's an often abused strategy, but that's a video for another day. But imagine the disappointment and wasted funds to go through getting that new date and then finding out it's not going to take place sooner rather than later just because you didn't call the other side. So those are the steps to take if you need a motion hearing sooner than what the time frame is that the court gives you when it first gets scheduled. Hope that was helpful. I'd love your feedback or to hear any questions you'd like to have answered. Just leave them below in the comments and I'll create a video to answer it.